Oren is an ugly, broke loser who used to be part of the strongest party in the kingdom, but they kicked him to the curb for being too weak. And on top of that, said he could barely hold his enchantments for a whole minute. Thing is, Oren was the greatest battle support that party had ever seen. Now he's starting from scratch, with a brand new team of total beginners, to live the life he always dreamed of. And that's where it all begins. Oren wanders through the dungeon alone, feeling like a ghost nobody can see. When a demon rat pops up, he draws the sword that's been collecting dust for way too long and drops it in one clean strike. But the motion itself is a warning sign. He's rusty. More rats show up right after, and he cuts through them one by one without breaking much of a sweat. As he stares at the monster cores scattered across the ground, he starts thinking maybe he's still got a future as a solo swordsman after all. Then the goblins box him in. Knowing they're way more dangerous than they look, he casts a support spell on himself instead of gambling on close combat. The effect is absurd, tougher, faster, way more lethal, and he tears through the first group with an ease that honestly freaks him out a little. That's when he realizes just how completely broken his own magic is when he turns it on himself. A second wave hits before he can even catch his breath, and he bulldozes through it anyway. When the effect fades, he clocks the timer at around 3 minutes in a fight. Then a third group shows up. Orun reactivates the enchantment at the last possible second, and keeps swinging until the last goblin hits the floor. And when that final one drops, an old memory rips through his mind like a gut punch. Oliver, Annalie, and Derek had come to him and told him he was out of the hero party. Orun felt the ground disappear under him. This was the team he'd helped build alongside his best friend, the same crew that had climbed dungeon after dungeon and become famous across the entire country. But Oliver, cold as ice, said friendship meant nothing if he was the most useless member on the roster. Annalie and Derek backed him up, saying Orun was just dead weight slowing everyone down. Oliver explained that during a recent joint mission, he'd seen how strong the support mages in other parties were, and decided Orun just wasn't good enough, and that hit different. Because Orun never should have been the support mage in the first place. He'd only taken the role because nobody else in the group could use magic. He gave up fighting as a swordsman, trained himself as an enchanter from the ground up, and even invented his own entire style. All of it just so the party could function. None of that meant anything to them. Annalie twisted the knife further, mocking him, saying Oliver had always been the better swordsman and calling Orun a loser full of excuses. Then Oliver landed the final blow. They already had a replacement. Understanding it was completely over, Orun walked out. And as he left, Annalie shouted after him that he'd never belonged in an S-rank party anyway. After all, both his sword and his magic were only A rank. A jack of all trades, master of none, at least in her eyes. Back in the present, Orun decides he's going to prove every single one of them wrong. He's going to keep using the hybrid style he built himself, blending blade and magic, and he's going to master both. That's it. That's the plan. He barely finishes the thought when 4 adventurers come sprinting into the teleport room in a full panic. They confess they ran into way too many orcs and left a girl behind. Their leader says trying to save her would have gotten everyone killed, and since she'd only joined the group that same day, he chose his longtime friends. Orun just went through the exact same thing, being left behind by people he trusted, so that excuse makes his blood boil. When one of them gets aggressive about it, Orun drops him in a way that leaves zero room for argument and demands to know where the girl was abandoned. Then he runs. He finds her cornered at the back of a cave, pressed against the wall, an enormous mob of orcs between her and any way out. She's crying, barely holding a barrier together. The second that barrier starts cracking, Orun charges in from the front, blasts the monsters back with wind magic, and draws his sword. The first orc's attack means absolutely nothing to him. With his reinforcement enchantment running, he tears through the whole group like they're cardboard. The girl can only stare, completely confused about whether he's a swordsman or a mage, because he's fighting like both at the same time. Orun knows the other adventurers were right. Most people wouldn't have been able to handle that many orcs. Still, he'd rather die than leave someone behind. With that mindset locked in, he clears every last monster from the cave. When the fight ends, the red-haired girl collapses. The fear and shock finally catch up with her all at once. Later, after they make it out of the dungeon, she introduces herself as Sophia and thanks him with a dinner invitation. He accepts and follows her to a tavern connected to the Silver Rabbit Guild, and he quickly figures out why she looked familiar. Sophia introduces him to her older sister, Selma. Orun already knew that name. Selma is an S-rank enchanter and the strongest support mage in the country. She's the one who shaped the battle roles that everyone uses today: attacker, tank, and support. At first, Selma eyes him with open suspicion, but when Sophia explains that Orun saved her life, the whole vibe shifts. During the conversation, Orun admits he was kicked out of the hero party and is basically drifting without direction. That gets Selma's attention, But before she can even suggest anything, Orun makes it crystal clear he's not looking for another team. Selma brushes that off without missing a beat and instead offers him a job. Her guild is sending a large group into the dungeon the following day, a lot of them rookies, and the stronger members need extra backup to protect them, take down bosses, and keep casualties at 0. She wants Orun in. Then she says something he didn't see coming. She respects his ability, because if she didn't, she never would have asked. That lands hard, especially since admiration for Selma's style had been part of why his old team decided they wanted someone better than him. Even so, he takes the job, but with one condition. He goes as a swordsman. As far as he's concerned, his days as a mage are done. After dinner, Orun stops by an equipment shop run by an old man who had believed in him back before he ever got famous. Orun, voice heavy, explains he won't be able to promote the shop anymore since he's no longer part of the hero party. He apologizes for not being able to help like he used to. The old man just smiles and thanks him for everything he's already done. Says people are going to keep trusting him, because Orun isn't just powerful, he's a good person, and says he's going to rise again. That simple faith hits harder than anything else. It's the first time in a long time that Orun feels like someone still believes in him, and because of that, he decides to rebuild everything from 0 and claw his way back to the top. The next morning, Orun arrives at the Silver Rabbit headquarters with Sophia and meets the leader, Vince. Vince greets him warmly, but Orun keeps it formal and respectful. Vince quickly waves that off, tells him to relax because they're not in a position where one should be acting like he outranks the other. Makes it clear he already knows who Orun is and understands exactly how much he contributed to the hero party's success. Then they get right down to business. Selma lays out the expedition plan. Over just 3 days, the group will push from the first floor all the way to the 51st. Day 1 ends on the 21st floor, day 2 on the 36th, and the final day tops out at the 51st. As she explains, she thinks back to her conversation with Vince the night before. When she told him Orun had been cut, Vince immediately said the hero party had made a terrible mistake. In his view, Orun was one of the main reasons the group had worked as well as it did. Selma agreed. She knew his magic might not have been the strongest raw power-wise, but the casting speed, the original spells, and his ability to read a fight made him someone special. Without him, the hero party wasn't going to hold the top spot for long, and that gave the Silver Rabbit a real shot at overtaking them. Back in the present, Orun confirms the setup. 10 teams of rookies will spread through the dungeon, while 5 elite escorts, including him and Selma, only step in when things get dangerous. But one thing bugs him. If safety matters that much, why only 5 escorts instead of more experienced teams? Selma says it's so the rookies still feel the real pressure of a dungeon and don't get overconfident. Orun doesn't fully buy that, but lets it go. He takes the job anyway. Vince then says he'll pay 2 gold up front and 10 more after the mission. Orun's jaw almost drops. That's a lot of money. But Selma says his skill is worth every coin. He thanks them and agrees to help. The next day, Orun shows up at the dungeon entrance and finds the young adventurers already assembled. He spots Sophia and Selma, thinks Sophia is cute, and Selma levels him with a look of such pure disdain it could cut through steel. Selma introduces the other escorts. Rain and Lucretia are both tanks, while Wilkes is the healer. With Orun as the attacker and Selma on support, the escort group is perfectly balanced, which makes him wonder what their backup plan would have been if he'd said no. Something about this whole setup feels off, but he decides to hang back and see where it goes. Soon after, Selma gathers the rookies and introduces Orun in a way that immediately pumps up the whole room. She tells them he reached the 94th floor and was part of the legendary hero party. The young adventurers are instantly impressed, but all that hype puts pressure on him instead of confidence. After the introductions, Selma puts him in charge of the 10th rookie team, calling them the most promising group. Again, Orun finds that suspicious. He's still a stranger here, but she's already handing him the best team. Even so, he walks over to the group and gets to know them. There are only 3 members. First, there's Logan, a blonde enchanter with an ego the size of a skyscraper who proudly declares he'll surpass Selma someday. Then there's Caroline, a tank who skips armor entirely and fights with speed and daggers instead of a shield. Orun clocks the problem immediately. A dodge-based defender can work, but only with real combat experience, and Caroline clearly doesn't have it. Last is Sophia, who has the least raw talent of the 3, but is the most well-rounded and reliable person in the group. As the expedition gets underway, Caroline can't stop talking, especially about why Orun left his old party. He mostly tunes it out and stays focused on the mission to keep things moving. He leaves magic traps behind to take care of the weaker monsters without wasting time. By the end of the first day, he's already got a solid read on the team. Logan is talented, but awful at leading. Caroline is fast, but impulsive. Sophia has nothing spectacular, but she also has 0 glaring weaknesses. The escorts clean up the 20th floor boss. The group hits the 21st as planned, and everyone heads out to rest. The next morning, Orun's mood tanks. A newspaper has his face on the front page. The article publicly announces that the hero party has removed him and brought in a new enchanter. Even though he already knew the truth, seeing it splashed across every stand in town hurts way more than he expected. On his way back, Luna intercepts him, the healer from his old party. Unlike the others, she'd always treated him with genuine kindness. She grabs his hands and pleads for him to come back, promising she'll convince the others how much they need him. She even brings up their shared dream of completing the great dungeon together. But instead of softening Orun, it only makes him angrier. He remembers that promise belonged to Oliver too, and it was Oliver who threw him out. With that, he tells her he's never coming back and keeps walking. When he reaches the dungeon entrance, the atmosphere has completely flipped. The rookies saw the headline, and now there's doubt in their eyes. Yesterday, Orun was the legendary veteran of the hero party. Today, he's the guy who got cut for being too weak. Selma immediately apologizes for putting him in that position by hyping up his old title so much. Orun says it's not her fault, and that they should focus on the job. Rain, Lucretia, and Wilkes jump in to back him up too, reminding everyone that what happened with the old party doesn't erase the fact that he survived the 94th floor. That eases the tension, at least a little. When Orun gets back to his own group, Sophia and Caroline greet him like normal, but Logan is clearly shaken. Orun decides to deal with it head-on and asks if they read the paper. Sophia and Caroline say yes, but they don't care, because they don't think the story tells the whole truth. Logan's more direct and asks if it's true he was cut for being weak. Orun answers honestly, yes, he was removed. According to the others, he wasn't good enough. He apologizes for not saying so earlier and admits he's not the hero everyone expected. Sophia can't let that slide. She reminds the group that she personally watched him destroy a massive mob of orcs completely solo without even looking like he was trying. Orun thanks her and tells the team that, no matter what that newspaper says, he's more than capable of guiding them to the 51st floor. Sophia and Caroline are in. Logan doesn't look convinced, but stays. They head back into the dungeon. This time, the goal is clearing floors 21 through 35. At first, Orun mainly hangs back and only steps in when necessary. The team holds its own. Caroline handles close combat aggressively, and Sophia performs better than he expected against the bigger monsters. When they hit the 31st floor, they're crossing into territory the rookies have never faced before. Orun starts taking a more active role. As they push forward, he picks up on goblins nearby, and notices an orc mixed into the area too. He dishes out orders fast. Caroline handles the goblins. Sophia attacks the orc from a distance. Then he tells Logan to start buffing the team. Logan follows through, but still thinks the instructions are way too basic to mean anything special. Then things start going sideways. The sight of the orc drags up Sophia's trauma, and she freezes. Logan starts spiraling, demanding to know why Orun isn't just diving in solo. But instead of rushing in blind, Orun slaps a slow spell on the orc and calmly walks Sophia through it. Tells her to breathe, focus, and remember she's stronger than the thing standing in front of her. That steadies her. She fires off a massive fireball that completely obliterates the orc. Orun is genuinely stunned by the power behind it. Caroline sprints over to celebrate with Sophia, while Orun praises her for holding it together and hitting back. Further ahead on the 35th floor, they come face to face with a death tarantula. Logan immediately assumes they're cooked, but Sophia and Caroline hold steady, waiting for Orun's call without hesitation. He runs Logan through a clear list of buffs: speed and strength for Caroline, magic for Sophia. Logan thinks the plan is way too simple, but follows it. Orun tells Caroline to push forward and keep the monster locked on her. Once she does that, Sophia gets the order to attack from above and shred its back. The plan works. Caroline dodges the spider's strikes while Logan keeps her reinforcements going. Then Orun tells Sophia to pin its legs and lock it to the ground. She does exactly that, dropping the beast. For a second it looks like it's over, but the spider fires webbing and snares Caroline. She panics and screams for help. Orun reacts instantly, tells Logan to buff her again, then enchants Caroline's daggers with a sharpness spell while directing Sophia to charge her next attack. Caroline breaks free, and Sophia closes it out with a rock arrow that blows the monster apart. Day over. Afterward, Orun compliments Logan, telling him his support spells were a key part of the win. As they leave the cave with dusk rolling in, Selma congratulates the rookies on how far they pushed and tells them the final stretch is tomorrow, so they should rest up and eat right. Everyone starts heading out. Before Orun can leave, Rain and Lucretia stop him and invite him to grab food. He thinks it over for a second and agrees. It's not every day someone offers to pick up the tab. On the walk back, Logan keeps turning over the moment Orun saved Sophia and asks her what exactly went down that day. Sophia does her best to explain. She says Orun first used wind magic, then reinforced his sword with a different enchantment, then dismantled the orcs one after another. That sticks in Logan's head. That same day, he also saw Orin casually throw a slow spell on an orc mid-fight. Logan knows how insane that is. Reinforcement magic is brutally hard to use, and even top-tier enchanters like Selma can't toss it around freely. And on top of that, Orin always seems to know the exact moment to cast, refresh, or stack a spell in the middle of a fight. He reads enemy movements before they even happen. At that point, Logan finally gets it. He had Orin completely wrong. He's not ordinary. He's a genius. Meanwhile, Orin heads to a tavern with Rain and Lucretia. They tell him to order whatever he wants. It's on them. Over the meal, they ask what he sees himself as now. He used to support the hero party as an enchanter, but lately he keeps saying he's a swordsman. Orin tells them the truth. Since he was a kid, after watching his grandfather take down a giant monster that attacked their village, he wanted nothing more than to fight with a blade, and he actually lived that dream for a while. In the early days, he fought as a swordsman in the hero party, but as the team pushed deeper, the battles got harder and the progress slowed. Around that same time, the whole dungeon world started following Selma's system, where the support mage became the center of the team. Since nobody in the group had the talent for that role, Orin stepped up and gave up his own spot to make the party work. Even now, thinking about it leaves a bitter taste in his mouth. Still, he pushes those feelings down and says what he wants going forward: to be a swordsman who can tackle the deep floors alone without needing anyone. The next morning, Orin heads back to the dungeon thinking it'll be his last day guiding the rookies. When he arrives, Sophia, Caroline, and Logan are already there waiting. All three greet him warmly, and the energy feels different. They trust him more than before. Even Logan seems more open. Caroline then lets it slip that Sophia has something to say and keeps nudging her to spit it out. Sophia turns red and completely shuts down. The truth is, the night before talking with Caroline, Sophia admitted she wants Orin to stay with the Silver Rabbit and help the clan grow. But before she can force the words out, Selma calls Orin over. He tells Sophia they'll talk later and heads over. On the way, he overhears some rookies saying the hero party is coming to the dungeon that same day. They're planning a trial run with a new member. He pays a little more attention and picks up something that immediately sets off alarm bells. They're not starting on the lower floors to build teamwork. They're starting at the 92nd. That sounds reckless. Swapping out a core member and diving straight into one of the deepest levels is exactly the kind of call that gets people killed. Still, he forces himself to stop thinking about it. Their choices aren't his problem anymore. Way down below on the 92nd floor, the hero party kicks off the trial. Oliver fires everyone up, saying they should be fine as long as they stay sharp. The new member, Cheyenne, is with them now, and the others are pumped to see what she can do. One of them even clowns on Orin, saying now that useless try-hard is gone, everything's going to be way easier. Luna doesn't say a word. She's still furious about what they did. The night before, Luna had come back to find everyone celebrating Cheyenne's arrival. That was how she found out the truth. Annalie and Derek were acting like swapping Orin out was a massive upgrade, going on about how everything would be easier now. Luna was horrified. She confronted Oliver and he admitted it without flinching. They'd cut Orin and brought in Cheyenne. Luna pushed back hard, telling them Orin was the backbone of the party and the single biggest reason they'd gotten as far as they had. The others dismissed it with a wave of their hand. Oliver insisted they were making the right call and said the first test with Cheyenne would be floors 92 through 94. Luna argued that was insane. Even if Cheyenne was talented, they should have started way lower and built coordination first. Nobody listened. Now inside the dungeon, that bad call starts coming apart fast. They run into the 92nd floor mammoth, a monster they've handled before without much trouble. This time though, everything feels wrong. Oliver attacks first, but the mammoth blocks him and shoves him back. His buffs burn off way faster than expected, and the moment they disappear, his body suddenly feels sluggish and heavy. He turns to Cheyenne and asks why the reinforcements are fading so quickly. She says she hasn't figured out the team's rhythm yet and needs more time. That answer catches Oliver completely off guard, because Orin had figured out their rhythm almost immediately when the party first formed. Then it gets worse. The mammoth fires off an attack. Derek tries to block it, but his defense isn't anywhere close to what it used to be, and the hit gets deflected straight into Annalie. She fires back with her own magic, but the spells barely scratch it. Oliver pushes Cheyenne to reinforce her more, but even after another enchantment, the damage is still weak. Suddenly, everyone is underperforming. Hits land softer, timing is off, and none of them feel as strong as they remember. Oliver starts screaming at Cheyenne to watch the battlefield and call out danger, but she snaps back that she can't juggle everything at once. Annalie piles on and says bringing Cheyenne was a mistake. Oliver tries to make sense of it. On paper, Cheyenne should be stronger than Orin, so why does the whole party feel weaker? Before they can figure it out, the real disaster arrives. The black dragon appears. Luna immediately panics and screams that they need to run, The dragon lands, crushing the mammoth under its body like it's nothing. Even so, Oliver refuses to fall back, says they've beaten it before so they can do it again. Derek braces to eat the flames, but the attack smashes him and sends him flying. Annalie tries to counter and gets blown clean out of the fight. Oliver charges at the dragon, demanding more reinforcements from Cheyenne, but even his strongest swing barely keeps him alive. The shockwave throws him back and leaves him dazed. Then Luna finally forces the decision, says they need to use an emergency teleport crystal or everyone dies. Cheyenne warns that the crystal will dump them into a lower boss room instead of a safe zone, but Luna says that's still better than staying here. Oliver agrees. He grabs the others and opens the portal, but before they can fully escape, the dragon dives after them and gets sucked through the portal too. For a split second, Derek thinks maybe that doesn't matter, but Luna immediately clocks how bad it is. Now the dragon has been dumped onto a lower floor where some weaker party could stumble into it and get completely wiped. She says they need to sprint back to the guild and force an emergency retreat for everyone still inside the dungeon. As they run, Luna finally puts into words the truth they refused to see. The reason they always felt so absurdly powerful with Orun was because Orun had invented original support spells that multiplied the effect of magic to a ridiculous degree. Cheyenne is floored. Not even Selma's reinforcements reach that level. But Luna says it's true. What they thought was their own power was never just theirs. Most of it was coming from Orun. Without him, they're not an unbeatable top-tier party. They're a decent group that mistook borrowed strength for their own. Oliver still won't accept it. Even after everything, he insists they can kill the dragon without Orun. But as they race back to the guild, they all know one thing. If the dragon has already reached some weaker group down there, people are going to die. On the 50th floor, Orun tells his team that after clearing the next level, the mission is over. Once the 51st floor boss drops, everyone uses the teleport crystal and they're out. The others agree, but Orun can't shake an unsettling feeling that something is wrong. Nothing around them looks off. The sky outside is dark and heavy with clouds, but the dungeon itself feels calm. Still, something deep in his gut keeps telling him they need to get out immediately. Caroline pulls him out of it by asking what kind of enemies they'll be facing next. She's clearly pumped, which makes Orun sigh. He reminds her that her job is to protect the team, not charge out solo trying to one-man the whole thing. Caroline pushes back. If she takes out the enemy first, her allies stay safe regardless. The way she sees it, staying up front and attacking is exactly what a defender should do. Orun tells her she needs to stop thinking like a solo fighter and learn to move with a team, because the deeper floors punish anyone who refuses to lean on the people next to them. Caroline doesn't love the advice, but Logan steps in and tells her to listen. He even quotes a famous line about teamwork from the legendary Albert. That name catches Orun's attention. Logan starts talking about Albert of the Silver Rabbit, the clan's strongest fighter, the one who died taking on the Black Dragon on the 92nd floor. Logan talks about him like a hero, but Caroline goes quiet. She says Albert died trying to protect someone, even though that was supposed to be the tank's job. Ever since then, she's believed the safest way to protect people is to keep them out of danger while she handles everything herself. Orun can hear the real pain sitting behind those words and decides not to push. Instead, he lightens the mood, tells her he's counting on her today. Caroline immediately lights up. Then Sophia asks what she needs to work on as both a fighter and a mage, and Logan immediately says he wants feedback too. Orun tells them both to fall in beside him. Shortly after, Selma calls him over and says this is the final and most dangerous day of the expedition, so everything needs to be clean. She also notices the rookies seem unusually attached to him. Orun admits he figured the newspaper story would have torched whatever trust they'd built, but instead, the group chose to judge him for themselves. Selma says they're rough around the edges, but there's real potential there. The conversation gets serious. Selma brings up Albert again and says his death devastated the Silver Rabbit. After that loss, the clan started slipping, while the hero party kept climbing. Orun says the Black Dragon nearly destroyed his own old team too. Then Selma finally comes out with what she's actually been thinking. She wants him to join the Silver Rabbit. Orun thanks her, but assumes she means as an enchanter, and says a party doesn't need two support mages, especially when the other one is Selma herself. She gets a little flustered and corrects him. She's asking about him as a swordsman. That stops him cold. She says she plans to watch closely today to see what he can actually do with a blade. Soon after, the group splits to scout different routes. Caroline complains about hating to split up in a maze like this, but Orun explains that route reconnaissance is standard on dungeon raids. Bigger clans have the edge because they can cover more ground faster. Logan starts asking what the deeper floors are like, and Sophia and Caroline jump into the conversation too, wanting every detail. Orun tells them the lower levels look nothing like this place. Go deep enough, and the dungeon transforms into a world of frozen mountains packed with storms and monsters waiting for a single mistake. The image alone unsettles all of them. So he cuts the story short and tells everyone to focus on what's in front of them. As they advance, the tunnels feel off. There are no enemies anywhere. The silence is way too complete. Logan asks if the 40th floor is usually this empty, and Orun admits it isn't. The bad feeling in his chest squeezes tighter. Then finally, a blue goblin pops out from behind a rock. Caroline's eyes light up and she charges it immediately without thinking. Orun tries to stop her, but she's already gone. So he quickly throws a slow spell on the goblin that gives Caroline the opening to drop it in one hit. She starts celebrating, but Orun tells her it was reckless. Blue goblins are fast and dangerous, and if she'd misread the attack, the whole team could have been yanked out of formation. Since she does at least listen, he softens the lesson by teaching her something practical. Instead of just charging in, she should learn active defense, attacking at the exact moment the enemy is about to strike. That way she shuts them down before they launch and opens up the field for everyone. Caroline is completely hooked. Logan immediately asks what he should work on. Right at that moment, two wolf monsters come charging from behind. But before they reach anyone, one of Orun's trap spells activates and skewers them both. Orun tells Logan that support magic isn't just buffs. Prep spells like traps can control the entire battlefield and let the team stay focused on what's in front of them without worrying about what might hit from behind. Logan is completely sold and starts looking at Orun like the kind of mage he wants to become. Then Orun turns to Sophia and says she should start practicing casting two spells at the same time. Sophia says it sounds impossible, but he explains that it isn't. Stronger casters can maintain way more than two at once. Sophia asks why bother with that instead of just using more powerful magic. Orun explains that heavy spells take time to charge, and that delay leaves her wide open. But if she learns to layer spells, she can fire one while already loading the next, which means almost no gap at all. Once she gets it down, her attacks become smoother and way safer. Eventually, they reach the boss chamber, where the other escorts regroup. The rookies are sent to the back to observe while the escorts handle the fight. Orun steps in with the others and says he'll provide support while they focus on the attack. The battle starts and he moves first, slices at the boss's legs at the exact moment it was about to strike. That throws it off balance. Before it can recover, Orun drops a trap behind it, cutting off its movement. Selma follows up with a multicast magic burst. One of the tanks locks down the counterattack, and the finishing blow lands almost immediately. The rookies can barely process what they just watched. Logan is stunned by how clean it was. No wasted movement, no panic, no hesitation. The expedition pushes on, and floor after floor falls until they finally reach the 50th floor boss chamber. This time the enemy is a massive crab with an absurdly thick shell. Selma tells Orun that if he can cut one of its enormous claws, the rest of them can finish it off fast. Orun moves without hesitating. One of the others warns him not to underestimate the shell, but he lunges, hits the joint, and shears the claw off clean. After that, the rest of the party closes it out with ease. Everyone starts celebrating. The mission is finally done. Then everything changes. Out of nowhere, a wave of dread crashes into Orun so hard it freezes him to his core. The space itself seems to tear, and from that tear, the black dragon emerges. Orun immediately shouts for everyone to run, but almost nobody moves. The pressure pouring off the dragon is so overwhelming that even the experienced escorts lock up. The rookies are worse. Selma can barely string a thought together. The creature's aura makes the air feel heavy, like the entire cavern is being crushed under the weight of its presence. Horror stories about the black dragon flood Selma's mind all at once. Orun forces himself to think. Then he notices something important. The floor boss is already dead, which means the return crystal at the end of the room should be active. If they can get to it, there's still a way out. But when he turns to tell everyone, he sees them frozen in place, eyes locked on the dragon, completely unable to move. For one ugly second, he thinks about running for the crystal himself. He knows he could probably make it. The thought disgusts him immediately. He throws it out and chooses to stay, fight, and give everyone a chance to live. He draws his sword and yells for the others to move. That finally shakes them loose. Selma recovers enough focus to start giving orders, telling the escorts to form up and shield the rookies. A defensive barrier goes up, but she already knows it won't be enough to eat a direct hit from the dragon. Orun charges in anyway, and at the last second throws a reinforcement enchantment over everyone. That extra layer is the only reason they survived the first explosion. Without him, they'd be ash. While the escorts are still shaken, Orun starts moving. He weaves around the dragon's attacks while carefully making sure it never gets a clean bead on anyone else. Then, out of nowhere, he hurls a dagger straight into one of the creature's eyes. The dragon reacts by snapping its eyelids shut, and that tiny opening was all Orun wanted. He launches himself into the air, going for the head in one decisive strike. The impact kicks up smoke and dust everywhere, and for a brief second, the others find themselves wondering if he actually pulled it off. He didn't. When the dust settles, the dragon is still standing, furious and completely untouched. Oren stays calm and tells the escorts to forget about backing him up. Their only job is to keep the rookies alive. Selma looks torn, but Oren gives her a confident smile and says he has a plan. Then he throws himself back into the fight, circling the dragon and pulling every bit of its attention onto himself. The others can only watch. He's not just surviving, he's controlling the whole fight. The dragon fires again and again, but Oren keeps slipping every attack. At one point, he even bounces one of the creature's spells right back at it. Logan and Sophia are stunned. They've never seen spell reflection before, because almost nobody can do it. It's one of Oren's own creations, a technique that sends hostile magic back at the attacker with even more force behind it. Even so, the dragon's scales are so absurdly durable that the reflected explosion barely does anything. Realizing normal moves aren't going to cut it, Oren starts stacking reinforcement magic on himself. One spell circle appears, then another, then more. Before long, there are 6 circles floating around him at once. Selma can't believe what she's looking at. Most high-level casters struggle to hold even a couple at the same time, but Oren keeps piling reinforcement on top of reinforcement onto his own body without slowing down at all. His power starts climbing to a level that doesn't even seem human. But there's a price. Blood runs from his nose. His body is being pushed way past its natural limit, and his mana is draining at a terrifying rate. He knows he can't hold this for long, so he decides the fight needs to end right now. He charges again. The dragon swings at him, but Oren conjures a platform out of condensed mana in midair and uses it as a foothold, sidestepping the attack by standing where no one should be able to stand. Logan realizes he's watching yet another original technique. Using condensed mana as a physical step is completely insane. This time, Oren reinforces his sword's edge and lands a real hit on the dragon's neck. The monster crashes to the ground, and the rookies almost start cheering. But Selma knows better. The dragon is hurt, not beaten. Oren stumbles too, clearly hitting his limit, but keeps trying to push forward. The dragon gets back up and answers with a storm of shadow lances. Oren dodges most of them, and in that brutal moment, his mind snaps back to the village he once shared with Oliver. He remembers the days when they were just kids, the day bandits burned everything to the ground, the oath they made after burying the dead that they would become strong enough to protect what mattered. That memory becomes fuel. He walks straight through the settling dust toward the dragon. The creature winds up another killing blow, and Oren runs directly into it. He threads between the lances by inches, throws a fire spell as a feint, and slashes toward the dragon's head. Still not enough. The scales harden and hold. He falls back, blocks, dodges, reflects another attack, and keeps moving, never once letting the dragon turn its focus toward the rookies. At this point, he fully understands something. When he fought as part of a party, everyone had their role. Now he has to be all of them at once. So that's exactly what he becomes. He extends a trap that starts battering the dragon in a continuous loop, buying a tiny window. Then he channels accumulated mana into the blade, turning it into a blackened, overloaded strike, something far beyond anything he ever threw out to back up Oliver. He swings and drives it straight into the dragon's chest. The force is massive, but the creature gets back up. Oren's buffs start burning out. He torches whatever mana he has left to amplify himself one more time and knocks the dragon out of the air again. Even so, it refuses to die. By this point, both of them are barely standing, and Oren's sword snaps from the overload. So he makes one final call. He gathers the energy still left around him and compresses it into a last blade of pure concentrated power. The dragon answers with another burst. Oren dodges what he can, blocks what he has to, reflects enough to break the rhythm, and then throws everything he has left forward. The final strike crushes the dragon's head. A massive explosion tears through the cavern. When the dust clears, Selma sees Oren still standing. Barely. He's propped up by what's left of that final blade, breathing hard, bleeding, spent. The black dragon is dead. And in that moment, without even realizing it, Oren becomes the first person in history to defeat the black dragon alone. When Oren and the others step out of the dungeon, the news about the dragon has already spread. A massive crowd is packed around the cave entrance. Shortly after, Luna and the rest of the hero party come pushing through the panicking mob, expecting to still be able to save whoever's left inside. Luna tells everyone to stand back, but the second she clears the crowd, she stops cold. The black dragon is right there in front of her. Oliver reacts at first like it's still alive and reaches for his sword, but Luna stops him. Something is different. A second later, the truth hits. The monster is already dead. That alone is enough to leave the hero party completely speechless, because none of them can wrap their heads around who could possibly have killed something like this. Then Luna notices Oren nearby, barely able to stay on his feet, his whole body leaning on his sword. He looks completely destroyed. She first assumes he must have made it out fighting alongside the other adventurers, But when she looks around more carefully, something doesn't add up. The others who came out with him don't even look seriously injured. And then the truth hits her. Orun killed the dragon alone. She runs to him and tells him he needs healing, but Orun coldly tells her to stop worrying about him and deal with the fallout. Luna is left speechless. She has no idea what she could possibly say to make up for what they did. Meanwhile, Derek is going off, demanding answers, but Orun walks right past him like he doesn't exist. When Derek keeps pushing, Luna finally explodes and tells him to shut up, because it's obvious what happened. That just kicks off another argument, and Derek almost gets in her face before Oliver steps in and shuts it down. Later, as she writes up her expedition report, Sophia tries to focus on the facts, but every other thought drags her right back to Orun. All she can think about is how much he taught them in just a few days. She showed them how to fight smarter, how to work as a team, and on top of all that, saved everyone by taking down the black dragon alone. Before Sophia can finish the report, Selma walks into the room looking like she just survived a war and collapses onto the bed ready to pass out on the spot. Sophia drags her to the public bath to help her unwind. While they're there, Selma admits something's been bothering her. She can't fully wrap her head around Orun's fighting style. To her, he seems impossible to measure, almost beyond any rational explanation. Sophia sees it from a different angle. She says Orun doesn't fight like someone throwing flashy tricks around at random. It's the opposite. He looks like someone who has mastered the fundamentals so completely that everything he does seems extraordinary. He taught each of them how to perform their own role better. And in battle, he was doing all of those roles at once, attacking, defending, providing support, and controlling the fight like he was an entire party all by himself. That framing gives Selma a much better way to understand him. The next morning, Orun wakes up in rough shape. Every muscle in his body is screaming. He casts a pain relief spell on himself just to be able to move and get dressed. Shortly after, Selma comes to visit, and the two of them sit down with black coffee. She asks how he's doing, and Orun says he's fine, leaving out the part where magical painkillers are the only reason he can sit upright. Then Selma suddenly stands up and bows deeply. She thanks him for saving her life, saving the rookies, and making sure not a single person died. Orun waves it off and says everyone played their part, but Selma is clearly being completely serious. After that, she asks him to come with her to the guild hall because Vince wants to talk. When they arrive, Vince gets right to it. He offers Orun a spot in the Silver Rabbit's strongest party as a frontline fighter. And beyond that, he's also offering a lieutenant position within the clan, meaning Orun wouldn't just be joining them, he'd be part of the leadership. It's a massive offer. Most people would have said yes on the spot, but Orun asks for time to think it over. Vince agrees and Orun leaves, replaying the conversation in his head. He can barely believe a top-tier clan wants him this badly. Still, he's suspicious. He's already been used and thrown out once, and he has no interest in falling into that trap again. So he visits the old shopkeeper he trusts and asks what he thinks. The old man laughs at Orun's gloomy expression and tells him to stop overthinking everything. Before they can talk more, Orun gets summoned to the Adventurers Guild for an inquiry into the dragon incident. At the hearing, the guildmaster asks him to confirm whether the black dragon truly appeared on the 50th floor and whether Orun was forced to face it alone. He confirms it, but before he can say much more, Derek cuts in and claims their party had already weakened the dragon beforehand and that Orun simply landed the finishing blow and took all the credit. Annalie piles on, acting like Orun should be grateful to them for making him famous in the first place. Orun tells them to cut the nonsense. Derek immediately flares up, but Luna shuts him down before he does something stupid. Then Orun turns the pressure on Oliver. He asks why Oliver thought it was a good idea to bring a brand new enchanter directly to the 92nd floor instead of building teamwork on the lower levels first. He points out that before all this, their party barely survived those deep floors and had multiple near-death situations. Anyone with half a brain should have known they were pushing their luck. Oliver fires back with pure arrogance, saying the reason they struggled before was because of Orun himself, and that's exactly why they replaced him. That's what finally makes Orun snap. He says he's not even angry about being cut anymore. What disgusts him is how little they understand about what a support enchanter actually does. Oliver talks about support magic like it's easy, like all an enchanter does is hang back and refresh buffs. Orun tears that idea apart immediately. He explains that support magic is way more complex than they ever bothered to notice. Every ally has different timing, different conditions, different windows of opportunity. An enchanter has to track all of that simultaneously while reading the battlefield, keeping spells active, making split-second decisions, and constantly adjusting. They had absolutely no idea how much he was carrying for them. While all of this is happening, Selma is waiting outside and thinking things over on her own. She wants Orun in her party badly, but she also wonders whether that's even realistic after what his old team put him through. Is he going to want to trust another group? And more than that, After watching him take on the Black Dragon, she can't stop asking herself whether he even needs a party at all. During that fight, she wanted to support him, but he told her not to interfere because it would only get in the way. That thought makes her feel like she'd just hold him back. Then Sophia, Logan, and Caroline come running up urgently, asking where Oren is because they want to talk to him about joining the clan. Selma says he probably doesn't need a party at all. The three of them push back immediately. They admit they're still weaker than him, but they don't see that as a reason to give up. Their plan is simple: keep fighting alongside him, keep learning, keep getting stronger until the day he sees them as real partners. That perspective catches Selma completely off guard, and she realizes they're right. Instead of worrying about whether they're worthy, what matters is growing until they get there. Meanwhile, Oren steps out of the guild hall after the hearing and notices Sophia and the others sprinting toward him. He can already guess what they want, so he slips down an alley and loses them with magic. He heads to the old shopkeeper's store to hide out. The old man finds the whole thing hilarious and says he looks like a grown adult running away from kids. Oren says he just doesn't want to hurt them by saying no. The old man says something that hits. Oren is still looking for a place where he belongs, and there's no rule that says he has to do that alone. That night, Oren goes out to a cliff to think in peace. There he finds Sophia, who says it's her favorite spot because the moon looks sharper from there. She sincerely thanks him for saving all of them, and then works up the courage to ask him to join the Silver Rabbit. She says she wants to keep working with him. Instead of answering directly, Orun asks what the clan means to her. Sophia thinks about it and says the guild feels like home. It's where she belongs. That answer stays with him. The next morning, Orun goes back to Vince and accepts the offer. The second he does, Selma appears, clearly happy enough that it's obvious she was hovering nearby the whole time, and hands him his new uniform. When he steps outside, Sophia and the others come running up to him, desperate to know what he decided. Orun smiles and says he's looking forward to their next adventures together. Not long after, Orun dreams about the past. In the dream, he and Oliver are still kids training together under the watch of adults who wanted to forge heroes. Oliver comes at him seriously, but Orun holds his ground before getting disarmed. Lying on the ground, he jokes that Oliver has gotten too strong for him. Oliver gets irritated and says Orun is still the stronger one and used to beat him all the time. Orun says that's not how it is anymore. Before the dream ends, another figure appears, a silver-haired girl named Cheyenne. She runs to see Orun, praises how incredible he looked, and says she knows what he's truly capable of if he ever uses his full strength. Orun says he can't do that anymore. His body and heart can't handle it. Cheyenne promises she'll help him one day. Then the memory fades. Far away, Cheyenne is still alive, but she's not the girl from those days anymore. She now leads a small squad inside a violent cult, and the group has just wiped out multiple adventurer parties for not belonging to their faction. After the massacre, a messenger in white robes shows up with new orders. The cult's leadership has heard that an unknown man in the Northern Kingdom killed the Black Dragon alone. Cheyenne is given the mission to track him down, recruit him if possible, and kill him if he refuses. She agrees, not realizing the person she's been sent after is Orun. One of her teammates warns her that the Northern Kingdom is still heavily controlled by the church, so they'll need to keep a low profile. Cheyenne agrees, but the mission unsettles her. She's always hated that part of the kingdom. The reason is simple. For years, she believed that the church's brutal training and pressure had driven Orun to his death. When she was told that lie as a child, it destroyed her. Ever since, she's carried that rage toward the church and built her own life around that hatred. Back at the Silver Rabbit, Orun takes part in a meeting with the clan's senior members. Vince formally introduces him and says Orun was the key to the expedition's success and the reason the rookies and escorts survived the Black Dragon attack. Then he announces he wants to name Orun as lieutenant, filling the void left by Albert's death. An older member pushes back, not because he dislikes Orun, but because he wants to know if Orun truly understands what that position means. Lieutenant isn't just another strong fighter. It's someone whose choices affect the entire clan. Many people in the Silver Rabbit have nothing outside the guild, so the clan comes first, always. Orun answers honestly. He says he can't promise to make the clan his whole life. That shocks the room. The old member gets furious and says that kind of answer should disqualify him from even being a regular member. But Orun doesn't back down. He explains that while he can't promise blind devotion to the organization itself, he can promise this. He will protect the people he considers his companions with everything he has. Selma understands immediately. He's not rejecting them. He simply refuses to reduce real people to a symbol or a title. That answer ends up being enough. And when the vote happens, the support for Orun is overwhelming. He becomes one of the Silver Rabbit's new lieutenants. After that, Selma takes him to meet the first unit he'll be working with. On the way, a girl from administration named Stella stops them and asks if Orun is good at teaching. She says there's a new party she'd like him to help guide later on. Selma thinks it's a great idea and tells Orun he's going to have more freedom here than he ever had with the hero party. Then Orun is introduced to the main team. First comes Ryan, the mage, then Otis, the healer. Next is Will, a tall, silver-haired defender who admits he's been trying to fill Albert's old role ever since Albert died. Last, Selma reintroduces herself, not as the guild's distant star this time, but as the enchanter and leader of the party Orun now belongs to. Orun takes in the fact that these are his teammates now, the people who might one day fight and bleed alongside him. So he introduces himself properly in return. Will immediately asks the question everyone wants answered. How did Orun kill the Black Dragon? Selma says he doesn't have to talk about it if he'd rather not. But Orun decides the new team deserves the truth. He explains that the biggest reason he survived were 2 original spells he created himself. One massively amplifies the effect of weapons or magic. The other can be stacked repeatedly on top of support spells to multiply buffs far beyond their normal limits. During the fight with the dragon, he kept layering those reinforcements on himself until the effects were dozens of times stronger than they should have been. The entire team is floored. Otis points out that kind of ability would make him terrifying in practically any fight. Orun admits there's a downside. He can only push that kind of power into himself, not into other people. And the strain is so severe that he can only sustain it for a short time before his body starts breaking down. Then he adds something even more surprising. Despite all his control and spell precision, he still can't use high-level magic. No matter how much he trains, he seems stuck at mid-tier spells. He doesn't fully understand why himself, but his original spells compensate for that weakness enough to still compete at the highest level. Selma says they should head into the dungeon together soon and start learning how to move as a real team. Orun agrees, but first says he needs a new sword. Ryan is shocked. He hasn't gotten one yet? Orun casually says he normally just buys cheap off-the-shelf blades. That horrifies everyone. They can't believe the man who killed the Black Dragon has been running around with bargain bin starter weapons. They drag him to the clan's blacksmith, who says someone like Orun deserves a weapon forged from materials found in the dungeon's deepest layers. In response, Orun casually pulls out several rare materials he'd collected along the way, including a scale from the Black Dragon. The room goes completely still. Only then does Orun realize what he just did. He accidentally brought up the memory of the very monster that killed Albert. He starts to apologize, but Ryan steadies herself and says that if anyone deserves a blade forged with Black Dragon scales, it's the man who killed that dragon with his own hands. A few days later, Selma calls Unit 1 for a morning briefing. Orun takes his place alongside the others, but the feeling still throws him off. After so long trying to live as a solo fighter, sitting down with an actual dungeon party again feels almost strange. Selma, the team's leader and enchanter, lays out the mission. The Adventure Management Office has assigned them a monster pelt collection quest, but that's only half the objective. The bigger goal is testing their teamwork on the 86th floor. The unit was built around clearly defined roles. Will is the frontline defender who controls incoming attacks. Ryan is the backline mage with heavy firepower. Otis is the healer and support specialist. Selma handles the buffs and calls, and Orun is the primary attacker, the one responsible for landing the finishing blows. Quietly, Orun makes a promise to himself. This team is going to push past the 94th floor and stand proud alongside the best of the best. When they reach the 86th floor, the place almost looks harmless. The scenery is pretty enough to make anyone let their guard down, and that's exactly what makes it dangerous. Selma warns them not to let the view fool them. Earth dragons roam this area, and the real goal today is learning to move as one unit. She runs through the battle plan again, but Otis and Will point out the obvious. Orun is strong enough that he could probably clear the floor by himself. Even Selma says she'd understand if he wanted to handle the fight on his own. Orun shuts that down immediately. He says they're there to become a real team, not to stand back and watch him do everything. That answer barely has time to land before a fireball tears toward them. Selma is caught off guard, but Orun moves instantly, dodges the blast and throws up a defensive wall to shield the rest. He knows an earth dragon is nearby, but the enemy is hidden. Otis kicks into gear and uses her tracking magic, reading the residual mana in the air to pinpoint where the attack came from. The moment she locates the dragon, she draws it out into the open. Will meets it head-on. Ryan lines up the spell, and it's over in seconds. Will isn't just blocking magic, he's neutralizing it. Ryan's casting speed is so fast the dragon never gets a moment to recover. Otis makes ambushes nearly impossible, and Selma keeps everyone synced without losing the rhythm for even a second. Before they can slow down, 2 more earth dragons wake up, and Orun detects another threat creeping in from behind. He fires at what looks like solid ground and exposes an armored turtle trying to flank the rear. Selma reacts immediately. Ryan and Otis take the turtle while Orun and Will handle the dragons. The teamwork is clean. Will holds the monsters in check and buys time. Selma dishes out the perfect timing, and Oren cuts the dragons at exactly the opening she creates. At the same moment, the girls chain their attacks and destroy the turtle. Watching it all unfold, Oren realizes this is the kind of coordination he always wanted from his old party, and never had. After the fight, Selma asks a serious question. Does she think this team is ready for the 92nd floor? Oren says yes. In fact, he believes they could even face the Black Dragon one day without him, if they stay calm and trust each other. Selma isn't ready to go that far. She saw that monster up close and knows exactly how terrifying it is. By dusk, the mission wraps up, and the team comes back with more than enough pelts. That night, they celebrate at a tavern. The food is great, the drinks keep coming, and the mood loosens up fast. Selma gets drunk and starts leaning on Orun more than she should. Then Ryan comes in and latches onto him too. Will sits back and enjoys the chaos, but Orun wants absolutely no part of it. Before things can escalate any further, he quietly puts both of them to sleep with magic. Later, he carries Selma back home, and Sophia opens the door expecting her sister, but finds Selma draped across Orun's back. To Sophia, the scene looks way worse than it actually is. She instantly feels awkward, jealous, and left out, especially since she already has feelings for him. Selma, for her part, ends up overthinking things too. She knows Sophia's feelings are real, but she also can't ignore the fact that she might be developing feelings of her own. The next morning, Orun heads to the administration office with Selma. Stella is there with Carla, the person in charge of new recruits. Carla says Orun will be taking over the training of Group 10, the same trio of rookies he already knows well: Sophia, Logan, and Caroline. Since he's already read their files and understands each of their strengths and problem areas, he agrees. When he asks how demanding he can be, Stella basically gives him full creative control. The goal they set is ambitious. Within 6 months, all three should be able to survive on the mid-level floors on their own. After that, Selma opens up about Sophia. She explains that Sophia was born into a painful family situation and was never truly accepted in the home she grew up in. When Selma saw how hollow and isolated she had become, she took her in and raised her as a real sister. Selma says directly that Sophia is the person she cares about most. Orun promises to protect her. Then he meets Group 10 in the training room, where Sophia, Logan, and Caroline go completely wild when they find out he's officially their instructor. Orun tells them he chose them because all three have real potential, but he also lays down the rules from the start. First, they need to keep an open mind and adapt when things go wrong. Second, they should never just blindly follow him because he's the teacher. He makes mistakes too, and he wants them thinking for themselves. After that, he asks each of them why they became adventurers. Sophia says she wants to become someone like Selma, strong enough to live without fear and make her own choices. Logan says his answer is money, but not in a shallow way. He comes from a poor village where people scrape by just to eat, and the community pooled together enough to send him away so his talent wouldn't go to waste. He wants to get strong enough to pay that back. Caroline says she doesn't have any big dream. She just wants to kill monsters, because when the monsters are gone, people smile again. Orun can hear real pain underneath that answer, but leaves it alone for now. When they ask him the same question, he says he wants strength for one reason only, so that nothing precious to him can ever be taken away again. Training starts the next day, in a lower dungeon. As expected, Caroline pushes way too hard and nearly takes a hit from behind because she fights like an attacker instead of a defender. Orun blocks the strike and confronts her, but her response shocks him. She says it doesn't matter. Then she cuts her own wrist to prove it. The wound closes almost immediately. That's when the truth from her file becomes real to him. Caroline had been captured by a criminal faction within the church and used in experiments because of her regenerative body. She was rescued years ago, but the damage never truly went away. Orun says something simple that finally breaks through the wall. Every time she hurts herself, the people around her hurt too. That dismantles the barrier she'd been hiding behind. She starts crying and promises she won't throw herself away anymore. When he reaches toward her, Caroline flinches and begs him not to hit her. Seeing how deep that fear runs, Orun hugs her instead and tells her that nobody is going to hurt her while he's around. After that, real training begins. Caroline starts learning to avoid damage instead of ignoring it. Logan starts training with the spear to become more versatile. Sophia is put through intense casting drills that force her to control multiple spells at once without losing focus. The same routine keeps going for days. Will helps Logan with the spear while Orun focuses mainly on Sophia and Caroline. Bit by bit, all three improve. Eventually, Orun decides they've cleared the first phase. He tells them they've passed the fundamentals and are ready for something harder. The three of them celebrate like kids. Right at that moment, Ryan shows up and says his sword is finally done. At the forge, the blacksmith places the new blade in Orun's hands. The second he holds it, he knows it's right. The balance is perfect. The weight feels natural. It's the kind of sword that feels like an extension of his own body. Holding it, Oren makes another silent promise. With this weapon, he will protect his companions no matter what comes. The next morning, Oren headed back into the dungeon with Selma's unit, and they pushed all the way to the 91st floor. The boss there, the undead king, barely lasted a moment. Orun dropped it in a single strike, then stood there staring at the new sword in disbelief. It felt perfect in his hand, so natural it barely seemed like a weapon at all. The others praised both him and the blade. Selma reminded everyone that the sword was exceptional, not just because of the blacksmith's craftsmanship, but because it had been forged with black dragon scales. After that, she told the group it was time to head back. That afternoon, Selma tried to go over the plan for the dragon fight, but Oren said he'd already promised to take Sophia, Logan, and Caroline into the dungeon the next morning. He explained he'd only be there as an instructor, since they were already close to handling the 29th floor on their own. Later that night, he visited the old craftsman and heard troubling news. Word was getting around that the Anthrop was active again. Since that group was known for hunting adventurers and killing anyone who tried to clear dungeons, Orun immediately understood how serious it was. He figured the guild was keeping quiet to avoid a panic. That same night, the members of Selma's party wrestled with their own thoughts. Ryan silently swore revenge for Albert. Will blamed himself for Albert's death all over again. Otis promised herself she wouldn't let anyone die this time. Selma tried to stay composed, but Sophia noticed she was worried. Sophia admitted she didn't want Selma going up against the dragon at all, especially after seeing how close Orun had come to dying last time. Selma answered that they were stronger now, and that she needed to believe this time would be different. The next day, Oren took Group 10 into the dungeon, and they cleared the 29th floor without any real trouble. He told them they'd improved a lot, and that clearing the 30th floor would officially end their rookie status. Back at the guild, they learned that the final test would be clearing the 30th floor on their own within 2 days, with a senior adventurer observing. The problem: the test was scheduled for the same day Orun and Selma's team planned to challenge the 92nd floor. Orun offered to delay the dragon hunt, but Sophia refused. She said Selma's team had been waiting over a year for that chance, and it would be wrong to make them wait any longer. Logan and Caroline agreed. Before leaving them to it, Orun went over the plan, reminded them to stay flexible, and handed each of them a good luck charm. When the day came, both groups entered separate battles. On the 30th floor, Sophia, Logan, and Caroline started strong. Logan detected the enemies. Caroline pulled their attention, and the three of them handled the first encounter cleanly enough to impress the observer. But near the boss chamber, they ran into 4 fake church adventurers. One of them read Logan's mind and discovered they had a connection to the Dragon Slayer. The supervising adventurer tried to protect them and was killed instantly. Then the enemy sealed off the room. Caroline pushed forward to buy time and was swatted aside almost immediately. At the same time, on the 92nd floor, Oren and Selma's team had already engaged the Black Dragon. Selma reinforced everyone. Oren stacked his own magic on top of her buffs, and the fight started well, with Will and Oren landing early hits on the dragon. But then Oren felt the charms react and realized his students were in danger. He told Selma, but they couldn't leave the floor while the dragon was still alive. And to make things worse, the dragon started regenerating the damage they'd already dealt. Back on the 30th floor, Logan snapped Sophia back into focus. He reminded her of Oren's rule. The first duty of an adventurer is to come home alive. That was enough to steady her. Logan buffed the team, tried the tactics Orun had drilled into them, and even managed to pin the massive attacker for a second. But the man broke free and nearly killed him. At that moment, Sophia's hidden power awakened. She froze the enemy in place and drove him into the wall, buying just enough time to keep the fight going. On the 92nd floor, Orun finally went all in. He released the incomplete power stored in the bracelet, coated the sword in darkness, and pushed the attack beyond his own limits. Even as the dragon kept regenerating, he kept going. Selma's barrier shattered under the pressure, and while the dragon was distracted, Orun moved above it, reshaped the sword into a spear, and drove every ounce of power into the creature's head. The energy tore through the dragon from the inside out and blew it apart. This time, it died for real. The moment the dragon fell, Orun sprinted to the 30th floor. He arrived exactly as Sophia's group was on the verge of collapse. Logan was injured, Caroline was still on the ground, and Sophia was seconds away from dying. Oren took out the biggest attacker with 2 cuts on the way down, then immediately pulled his students behind a barrier and apologized for being late. After that, he turned to face the church operatives. 2 of them died almost instantly under gravity and lightning magic, leaving only the priestess. She was far more dangerous than the others. She blocked his sword, fired off high-level magic at impossible speed, and spoke in riddles about buying time and stopping the world from being destroyed. When Orun finally pinned her down, the hood fell. The silver-haired priestess was Cheyenne. his childhood friend. Cheyenne recognized him too. For a moment, both of them were too stunned to move properly. She laughed bitterly, blamed the people who had lied to her, and then escaped before anything could truly be explained. Orun was completely shaken. But at least Sophia, Logan, and Caroline were alive. Somewhere else, Cheyenne was crushed by the truth that Orun had been alive this whole time. She'd been told he was dead, and now she knew she'd been lied to. That changed everything for her. Meanwhile, Oliver also found out that Orun had killed the Black Dragon alone. The news hit him like a gut punch. He threw himself even harder into training, and when Cheyenne mentioned an upcoming tournament, he latched onto it immediately. He swore he'd beat Orun there and prove who the real hero was. And that's it for today. If you're enjoying recaps like this one, drop anything in the comments. I always read every single one. Check out this other video too, you're gonna love it. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.